All right. Hi, everyone. Today we have Sociology Club, specifically Jaliyah Hamilton, I apologize, Landree Jones, and Lauren Gonzalez, presenting their work on Voices of the Campus.
Like he said, I'm Jaliyah Hamilton, Sociology Club President. I'm currently a junior and a psychology major, minoring in sociology.
Hi everyone, my name is Lauren Gonzalez and I am the Vice President of our Sociology Club. And I'm actually a transfer from Northeast Alabama. So it's pretty cool coming over here. And I am a junior majoring in psychology with a minor in sociology.
My name is Landree Jones. I'm a sophomore and I'm the treasurer of the Sociology Club. My major is sociology with a minor in forensic investigation.
So we started creating this survey in 2022 with the intent to better understand what really matters to our Jack State students. And then using these findings to work towards finding potential solutions to improve our campus.
The method we chose to use is a survey. Our population includes about 292 Jack State students. We formatted the survey in a way in which students could choose the topics they were interested in to reduce survey fatigue. There were open and closed-ended questions about students' experiences. We recruited using QR codes on flyers, emails to different colleges, text messaging through Navigate, and word of mouth.
So here is our sample demographics. So for our findings, in our survey, we gave students the opportunity to answer questions about transportation, campus housing, environmental concerns, dining, campus facilities and accessibility, mental health, university to student communication, on-campus employment, finances, and inequality. And of these categories, most students answered questions about mental health, finances, campus housing, on-campus employment, and transportation. And in our other option, many people wrote in about parking as a big issue.
So like Landry said, one of our biggest issues was mental health. And I decided to cover this because I'm a big believer on mental health. Take care of yourself, please. But the biggest complaint would be that there's not enough counselors. For instance, there are 7 counselors and only 9,955 students, meaning there's only 1,100 students that would be able to have 1 session per month. And if you're anything like me, that is not enough. I need to be seen at least 2 times each month. There is also obviously a long waiting list, and students have also said that the counselors are not the greatest sometimes. For instance, they can be a little dismissive of their feelings, or there can be some ghosting. And obviously this doesn't build a very confidential and welcoming feeling for a lot of students. And although most students somewhat agree that Jack State does have somewhat of a good resources, there's a lot of them that do not have access to them, or they just don't have time. And then on this chart, there are about 113 students who responded. And out of those, 8% selected very poor. Oh, by the way, we were asking them to rate their mental health ever since they started at Jack State. And out of the 113, 8% selected very poor, 21.2% selected poor, 24.8% selected fair, 25.7% okay, 13.3% good, 6.2% very good, and only 1% chose excellent.
Here's a quote from a student about campus employment. Campus job wages are too low to cover essential expenses, especially for college students without financial support. The pay schedule often doesn't align with school payment deadlines, making budgeting even harder. With a max of 26 hours per week, students can only earn about $858 before taxes per month, barely enough for tuition, bills, and groceries. Many students must work multiple jobs while balancing school. Additionally, night desk assistants earn the same low wage as day desk assistants, despite working difficult overnight shifts, emphasizing the need for a pay increase. The finance section assesses students' perspectives on the clarity of university fees, accessibility of JSU scholarships, and the usage of copybucks, flex, and meal swipes. We asked students if the university clearly communicates the cost of fees. About 61% of students who answered this question strongly or somewhat agreed to this statement, and 27% strongly or somewhat disagreed. We also asked if students were able to find scholarships offered by JSU that are relevant to them. The results of this question are pretty evenly split, with 40% of students agreeing and 41% who disagreed. The other 20% selected agree nor disagree.
So the next topic that was an issue was camping housing. And a question we asked was, have you ever had trouble getting placed in university housing? 77 students responded, and out of those, 33.8% of those students answered yes, and while 66.2% answered no. The graph may not have been as concerning, but here are some quotes that students have had to say regarding housing.
Our student population is growing, but we lack adequate housing. Housing charges a mortgage for subpar conditions, promising amenities that aren't provided. They require meal plans that are expensive and restrictive. And even the highest plan doesn't guarantee enough food for the semester. For someone who cooks or doesn't eat much, it's not worth the cost, especially considering what we pay for housing. I was told I needed a meal plan to live in certain buildings as a freshman, but then later found out upperclassmen didn't have to. Housing needs to improve. Fix the outdated buildings and stop giving freshmen everything while neglecting upperclassmen who actually stay and pay.
So, one of the most notable issues that students have is transportation. And this includes lack of parking, which I would definitely say many agreed is the biggest issue. Issues with pedestrian safety, and then traffic, along with constant construction causing a lot of traffic. So, here's my graph about parking at JSU, and basically many people, 32.3% said their experience with parking at JSU is poor, 12.9% saying very poor, only 3.2% saying excellent, 9.7% saying good, 12.9% saying it was okay, and 29% fair. So here is a quote about transportation on campus. Basically, this person is just saying how terrible campus is and how we have a lot of faculty parking, which I feel does not get used. And many people talked about how they feel that possibly turning some faculty parking into more student parking because there just isn't enough, especially when construction is going on.
All in all, our main findings were financial strain, lack of campus employment, lack of mental health resources, difficulties with transportation, and the low housing quality. This all matters because it affects the students' well-being, their academic success, their overall college experience, and retention. Some possible solutions that we thought of were possibly having construction during summer and winter breaks, hiring more counselors, having student-led support groups for those who cannot attend therapy sessions, student-led employment campaign, creating more parking, and increasing student workers' wages. Obviously, there are a lot of solutions that could probably be better, but that is why it is really essential for all of us to gather together and find the best solutions that could work for everyone. Obviously, we don't know everything, and that was the whole purpose of this whole survey. We want to know what our students have to say and what their issues are and how we can help. As we progress in this project, we plan to offer a more detailed statistical analysis to understand what factors influence this issue students care about most. And I just wanted to say thank you all for your time and your attention. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Yes?
So what do you think would be the best way to try to get information to students about resources? So if we hired more counselors or like there's like student-led support groups for students who can't attend therapy sessions. So we have some of that on campus, but I just don't know if students know about it. And so I don't know what's the best way to get information out to students? Is it through social media? Is it through email?
That is a great question. I think there's a lot of ways to, I guess, sort of expand on the resources we have, because a lot of students did mention that they don't know about the resources. And I do think social media is one of the best ways, but you do have to be following JSU account and clubs. But also, I think email, even though not a lot of students check it, sometimes they do. And that's how I found a club that has to do with disabilities. I was like, oh, I have a disability, let me join that. So sometimes having an email to inform others. I also think posters and flyers, just having it around, even if it doesn't reach all of the students, it can reach one person and that one person can tell others. So I think that's a really great question. Any more questions?
So it's pretty surprising that at least almost 20% of students feel like their mental health whole since they started at JSU. I'm wondering if you can find out any other resources from other universities and then kind of compare that, and then what kind of the reasons behind that a lot of students face, experiences mental health issues.
I think that is a great thing that we will definitely note. We are definitely wanting to do more research. Did you want to say something?
Absolutely. No, that's a great idea. I didn't even think about to do that, but that's a great idea. Thank you for that.
And that's why we need more of you guys to help us. Yes?
Y'all mentioned that the study matters, or the survey matters because it affects our retention rates here at State. Do y'all know what the current retention rates are at our university as compared to previous years?
Dr. Church, do you know this?
I don't know off the top of my head.
We are not aware of this at the time.
Get back to us in like one day, maybe.
I had a question. How did you develop your questions?
We, as a club, we wanted to do things to better improve the campus. And we were like, we don't even know what students want to improve on. We don't know really anything what they would like us to do. So we're like, let's start with a survey and find out.
So within the club, you worked together.
Yes.
Okay.
Over a couple of years. So I am one of the ones who started the survey and they transferred and got here this year. So that's great that they got to join us.
I remember last semester, I feel like at every club that you join, it's always that quiet introduction. You're like, okay, let's introduce each other. And then you're like, okay, now what? And then, so I remember last semester, I was like, so what are we doing? Like, what is our purpose? And they were like, that's a great question. I was like, why don't we just ask people? And so I think that is just the best way to ask, to get anything done, see what people want to get done. Any more questions? Yes.
I saw you had a slide on the demographics. Was there any collection of the demographics based on college or the universities that the students like major in and things like that?
Yes. Yes, we have some majors here, and then in the other category was, I'm too nervous to think about it. What was it? In the other category?
The other category were other majors. I can't remember off the top of my head, but those majors that are listed, those were the most common.
Does that answer your question?
Yes. If you need me to research what the 21 other
Yes, we can find out.
contact us, we will. We had this this long list of my bad. PDF, my bad, you cut that from the record. A long list of PDF, and we had to basically look at all of these responses, their written responses, and it was really interesting to see it all. I definitely want to spend more time on it. So any questions you have, we will keep a note of that and we'll have it for next time. Any more questions? Thoughts? You need to breathe out your feelings?
I think it's great. I appreciate y'all doing this.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you guys having us.
I just, one more thing. Do you have a way that you can provide the information that you collected to others? So for instance, I think this was really helpful to see even the faculty member. And I wouldn't have known about it since I was here. It was fantastic. But so I'm not sure if your statistics that you've done could show up on your website, Sociology, something like that. But it was really helpful to see these values.
Yes, we don't have it like condensed on a form or anything like that, but we could do that in the future. Yes.
I think that you could think about on the red and white or the faculty highlights, and then maybe Jacob, you could work with them and have something like that.
Oh, okay.
Or possibly digital comments and archive it.
So it sounds like there's options. All right, well, any other questions or thoughts? Or
Yeah, so, your sample size may not be large enough to do this, but I think one thing that might be interesting to look at is to break down those concerns by major. And so, I mean, one thing that would be interesting to know, like, for example, new psychology students, do they have different concerns than people in computer science and that sort of thing?
That was actually one of the things that I read. I think someone with a fine arts degree said that they have so many degree requirements and that just cost like more money and less time for them. And that also played into the less time for your mental health. And obviously with this semester I have a lot of classes and a lot of things that's going on, I feel like. And it is hard to take care of your mental health and things like that. So I think it is really important to get a larger sample size to figure out what can be done to help others. Any more questions?
maybe one more? If not, another round of applause for our